Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast is your one-stop shop for fantasy football news and advice. Can't decide on who to draft on the first round? Going gaga on how to line up your team. Got you covered. Traditional leagues, dynasty league, PPR league, IDP league, even daily fantasy football league. Join us as we break down all the questions of fantasy football. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast.
What is good, everybody? We are back for another episode of the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Austin. I am the host of the show, as always, going live at you Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time every single day. I'm here for y'all to answer questions. If you got a question, put it in the comment section. I'm down to answer any single fantasy question that you guys have. As you guys know, we are brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. So thankful, so grateful that they allow me to be the host of the Fantasy Football Show. And I'm just here to, give my knowledge, spread my knowledge. I spend most of my days just in the lab looking at football stuff, looking at fantasy stuff, trying to improve everybody's team that wants any help. So like I said, please drop a comment. And thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate it if you guys also checked out the Patreon too. I do an extra 30 minutes Monday through Friday on our Patreon on that platform. And I'm just, extra fantasy football coverage for anybody who needs it. Feel free to hop in. A lot of times it is live and you can just pop in and watch it. But if you want to watch it afterwards, you got to subscribe to the Patreon. The link is in the bio if you want to do that. But I just thank you guys for supporting the show. If you want to support the show for real, you can drop a tip at streamelements.com/GSMCsportsnetwork. That's where you can do that. But without further ado, let's just get into this podcast. Let's get into this show. Guys, today I'm going to be talking to you. I'm going to be talking about some sleeper quarterbacks for week 5. I know a lot of us are going through the first bye week of the season. I do have Justin Herbert on my team. He's been a solid, very, very solid quarterback. He's finished in the top 12 every single week, and he does have the bye. So I was looking at quarterbacks to, invest in for this week. So I got you guys with a couple dudes that are going to be playing on either Sunday or Monday. That's going to be my first segment. Second segment, we're kind of just going to do some fantasy talk about guys like Jonathan Taylor, who's going to be coming and having his first performance of the 2023 season, as well as Cooper Kupp. Going to talk about Jameson Williams, too, and a couple other guys, injuries, stuff like that in segment 2. Then segment 3, we're going to talk about some DFS talk, some daily fantasy sports. If you guys are into that, obviously it's kind of like a gambling type of situation, but I have looked into the numbers. I saw some guys that have some decent value, so I want to share that with you in segment 3. And then finally in segment 4, we're going to have the weather report, where I'm just bringing you guys the weather. I feel like a lot of times if there's a game that is rainy, snowy, whatever, a lot of people don't really know about it, don't know what's going on. I'm here to share that with you, so you don't got to go anywhere else besides the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast to see the weather in every single game. So that will be the 4th segment today. Super excited to bring this all to you guys. So let's get right into it with my quarterbacks. As I said, thank you guys for watching, and please check out the Patreon and like and subscribe, all those good things. Let's start with my first sleeper quarterback. And I know everybody's like, who is this guy? Are we really talking about Zach Wilson right now? Yes, we are. We have to talk about Zach Wilson this week. Like I said, a lot of quarterbacks on the bye week. Tampa's on the bye week. If you have Baker, Chargers on the bye week. Obviously, I have Justin Herbert. Browns, so if you have Deshaun Watson, he's on bye. And then finally, the Seahawks and Geno Smith are also on their bye week. So make sure you pay attention to that. Make sure you guys are checking your lineups. You should already have set your lineup because we got the Thursday Night Football game happening right now. Justin Fields is on a tear, and it looks like, Sam Howell almost just threw an interception in the game. That game I thought was going to be a bit of a shootout. And, guys, I ended up starting Sam Howell for the reason being that they're playing up against that Bears defense that has not been doing very much. I guess they held Russell Wilson to only 7 points in the first half last week, but ended up giving up 30+, and I thought this was going to be more of a similar situation. They are holding the Washington Commanders right now to 0 points through the first quarter and some change, so definitely crazy. Am I regretting starting Sam Howell? Possibly. However, I do like Zach Wilson's matchup this week. He's going to be going up against the Denver Broncos. Obviously, Denver Broncos right now rated on PFF, rated on ESPN as the worst defense in the entire league in pretty much every single statistic. Very bad tackling team too. And I just like what we saw from Zach Wilson in that Week 4 matchup versus the Chiefs. He looked like, a better version of Patrick Mahomes in that game. He actually outperformed Patrick Mahomes in that game, which was very surprising. Obviously, Zach Wilson, former second pick in his draft class, so someone that everybody thought was going to be like a primetime, big-time quarterback, and he kind of showed that against the Chiefs. 28 for 39, 245 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He ended up having a game-losing fumble, but, young guys playing in that quarterback position do make mistakes. I just love him this week against the worst defense in the league. Other teams have been shredding the Broncos defense, especially quarterbacks. Denver gave up 300 yards to Sam Howell, who obviously is showing that he is a mid-tier quarterback at best. 300 yards to Sam Howell, 300 yards to Tua. We expect that from Tua, obviously, and then gave up 335 yards last week to Justin Fields. So this Broncos defense is definitely a quarterback target, one that pretty much, I don't care who or what quarterback is playing against the Denver Broncos. I want that quarterback on my fantasy team. They kind of give it up to anybody possible. The defenses that I really want to be targeting for quarterbacks are going to be, first, the Broncos. They're going to be number 1. Second is the Bears. Sam Howell's obviously playing up against the Bears right now, not doing too well in this first half. But then also the Giants. Bears, Broncos, Giants, 4 quarterbacks. And that's kind of why I went with Howell in that situation. Do like Zach Wilson's matchup, though. Think he could have a pretty good game if he continues to show what he showed in Week 4. Next guy, this picture was definitely interesting, but this is CJ Stroud, obviously. CJ Stroud is the leading candidate for Offensive Rookie of the Year right now, and I'm loving him. Texans, my favorite team, so I'm super, super excited about it. And it really wouldn't be the quarterback sleepers segment if we were not talking about CJ Stroud. People are starting to wake up on this guy now. They're obviously seeing it. The books are seeing it. Quarterback 10 in fantasy football at the moment, and he's also the only player ever with 1,200 passing yards with 0 interceptions to start his career. So CJ Stroud off to a big start. We obviously saw him be a crazy major contributor in that Ohio State offense, and I really loved to watch him play there. Had a heartbreaking loss in that college football playoff. Thought they should have been in the national championship versus Georgia, but it just didn't happen that time. He's obviously got a chip on his shoulder coming into the league, and I'm loving what he's doing. He'll be facing a pretty mid-tier defense this week, going up against the Falcons. They are 13th ranked coverage grade on PFF, so they're here and there. They have guys back there. They got AJ Terrell. They got Jeff Okudah, who was a previous Lion and also a high draft pick, and they also have Jesse Bates, who has recorded a couple picks this year. But I just like CJ Stroud on this offense. It looks like they're clicking. Nico Collins looks like a top 10 wide receiver in fantasy right now. And Tank Dell's out there making big, big plays in the slot. I really like this Texans offense at the moment. CJ Stroud's line on the books right now is at 247.5. So obviously FanDuel, DraftKings, all them guys are expecting a big day from CJ Stroud. Week 2, 384 yards versus the Colts. Week 3, 280 yards versus the Jags. And then Week 4 came back with another 300-yard performance, 306 yards versus the Steelers. All of those games, 20-point fantasy performances, so very, very good. I'm projecting a pretty big game for CJ Stroud in this one against the Falcons. And I just like him. I think he needs to be rostered in pretty much every single fantasy league. And I don't know how many, what the percentage is that he's rostered in ESPN fantasy leagues, but it's not high enough. He needs to be rostered in 99% of leagues at the moment. He is that guy. Finally, my last sleeper quarterback that I want to talk about. It's not like this guy's really a sleeper by any means. He plays for the best team in the NFL. We all know him now. Mr. Irrelevant turned starting quarterback, probably going to be a Pro Bowl type guy very, very soon. And he's currently sitting at quarterback number 11 in fantasy football right now. Love me some Brock Purdy. Quietly just one of the most efficient decision makers in all of football right now. Doesn't really throw any picks. Through 4 games right now, got 4 wins, 72% completion percentage, 5 touchdowns, 0 INTs. So he really is taking care of the ball. He's doing a great job. He's also already thrown for over 1,000 yards in the first 4 games. If that shows you anything, he also has not lost a regular season game yet in his career. Just think about that. That is crazy. He's played like 14 games in the regular season, hasn't lost one. So very, very good performance this far through his career. And I just love Brock Purdy. It seems like he's cool, calm, collected out there and just a solid QB. Obviously, he has every single weapon in the book. All his guys are all pros. Kittle, Ayuk, Debo. Then obviously the best running back in the league. And also could definitely play a slot receiver in Christian McCaffrey. Love him too. Hometown guy. They're going to be going up against the Cowboys in primetime Sunday Night Football. And I really do like this game. I think this has to be considered the game of the week. San Francisco versus Dallas. Micah Parsons is going to be questionable with the knee injury, and obviously they lost Trayvon Diggs with the ACL. So defense a little bit down bad right now, and I think the 49ers have an edge here. I think Brock Purdy has a chance to have a good fantasy day on Sunday Night Football, and they have the all-pro defense to help him out if he were to make any mistakes, which he really hasn't done yet. That defense can definitely bail out any quarterback, so I just love Brock Purdy in this situation as well. Guys, when I come back, we're going to do some fantasy talk. I told y'all we're going to talk about guys like Jonathan Taylor, Jameson Williams, and Cooper Kupp. We'll talk about a couple big injuries too, so make sure you come back. What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for watching. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. Check out the Patreon. The link is in the bio. In this segment 2, we're going to be giving y'all some fantasy talk, just kind of talking about these major stories that are happening in the league right now. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor is going to be one of them. Jameson Williams, too. Cooper Kupp. We're going to get into all that. So this is the second segment of the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Thank y'all for watching. I appreciate y'all. Let's talk Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor, number one, obviously eligible to come back in this Week 5 matchup, and he was a full participant in Thursday practice. So very good sign for him, very good sign for fantasy owners. I have Jonathan Taylor in both my leagues. I'm sure I've talked about that enough at this point that y'all know. Very excited to have him back. In a media statement he released today, he did do a little interview. Wasn't able to watch all of it, but caught some clips. I don't think it was too long. I don't think he said too much. He was basically just saying They were asking him questions about being committed to the Colts at this point, and he was like, if somebody wasn't committed, they wouldn't be here, and I'm here. That was a direct quote from Jonathan Taylor. So it looks like he's committed to being with this Colts team for the foreseeable future unless a trade somehow ensues and they're able to, get a deal that works on both sides. I guess Jonathan Taylor may be running back into this running back one role. Zach Moss is obviously there, and he's been a load to handle, been a very good fantasy running back, and I've enjoyed watching him play, receiving the majority of the workload. No other running back is really doing any work in that offense. Week 2, I believe, 22 touches. Week 3, 32 touches. And then week 4, 18 touches for Zach Moss. So we'll see if Jonathan Taylor is going to be the one to come through and steal those touches, or if it's going to be a committee backfield with Taylor and Moss, or what the situation is going to be. It's a little bit shaky at the moment. The coach hasn't really released a statement. Jim Irsay, who obviously really doesn't like Jonathan Taylor, hasn't spoke much about it either. So very interesting developments. We'll see if Jonathan Taylor is able to carry that full workload soon. But for right now, Jonathan Taylor is a volatile fantasy candidate. We kind of knew this as soon as if you drafted late, then you knew this, that he was like the 51st or 52nd ADP person off the board, and obviously his talent is way above that, way above that. So we'll see what happens. I will just consider him a volatile guy. You can't really be mad if it goes good or bad. But just happy that I have Jonathan Taylor. I know I can make moves and work around if he's not going to be the guy. But I'm just happy that he's going to have the opportunity to be that number one guy. Let's talk some Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams, obviously, this dude was so crazy at Bama. One of the best players I've ever seen in college. One of the most impressive college tapes that I've ever watched in my entire life. Like, a lot of people talk about that Tavon Austin tape on YouTube. It's got, over 20 million views or something like that. Very impressive tape. I think Jameson Williams is almost just as impressive, if not more. This is the guy who had like 7 120-plus yard games at Bama. He had Bryce Young as his quarterback too. A lot of people are forgetting about Jameson Williams, acting like he's not one of the most talented deep threats in the entire league. I promise you that he is, and we will get to see his speed very soon. Apparently, he's going to suit up here in Week 5 and play. Offensive coordinator Ben Johnson for the Detroit Lions said that if he is active, they're going to have plays for him. So most definitely. Also, Josh Reynolds, who is the Lions wide receiver 2 currently, and has started off with a pretty decent season. I know a lot of fantasy owners have Josh Reynolds either in a deep flex or on their bench. I think he's going to immediately take over that wide receiver 2 role that Josh Reynolds was playing, and Josh Reynolds is also questionable for Week 5, which is a good sign for JMO owners and a bad sign for Josh Reynolds owners. Obviously, Jameson Williams recorded a full practice on Monday, so very, very good signs there. Also, when he was obviously he was suspended for the gambling policy, and it's kind of weird. They never really talked about what was going on, like specifics with what he gambled on or what, because I really want to know. I really want to know what got him in trouble or what he did to, I just want to know what he gambled on, truthfully. That's really all I want to know. But apparently while he was away from the team, because he had to be away from the team for those 4 weeks, he was running two-a-days like by himself or maybe with a trainer or something like that, but doing two-a-day workouts, so he was definitely staying in shape. This is a guy with 4.2 speed, and I'm not kidding, 4.2. There's not too many guys in the league that have that type of speed and burst and agility, and he definitely is that. He could have been a track star. I'm sure he runs, a sub 10-1 100-meter dash. Very, very fast guy. Amon-Ra was actually just getting interviewed talking about Jameson Williams, telling all the corners to just be aware, guys. Be aware. If you don't have 4.2 speed, you better back up, because this guy will burn you deep. And I've seen it with my own eyes. I really want y'all to go watch that Jameson Williams college tape, because it is something to see. I'm very excited for him to be back, and I think he's just going to grab that wide receiver 2 spot immediately from Josh Reynolds, just because he's a more talented guy. He's got more acclaim. Don't think Josh Reynolds is going to get fully banished out of the offense, but I just think his role is going to be heavily diminished, because this guy is very talented and he's going to need to be on the field more than Josh Reynolds needs to be on the field. suspended for gambling, coming back. Let's go. They actually cut down his suspension 2 games, from 6 games to 4 games without any notice. So I had Jameson Williams in one of my leagues, and I dropped him because I was like, dang, well, I got to wait 2 more weeks. Like, I got to make a move right now for whatever I was trying to do, and then realized that he is only suspended for 4 games. So one of my best friends literally picked him right up, and I was like, oh my God, why me? Why me, God? But I digress. Let's talk Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp, guys. If y'all don't know, Cooper Kupp is that guy in fantasy football. He's like the most efficient fantasy football player over the past couple of years. In the past 3 seasons in fantasy football, Cooper Kupp has averaged 24 points per game in fantasy football. I'm just let that sit for a second. Like, yeah, I bet a lot of y'all didn't know that, because I didn't really know that either until I saw this stat. Sean McVay was talking to the media and said that Cooper Kupp does look healthy right now, so that's definitely very good for me, for fantasy owners of Cooper Kupp. Always a fantasy monster. 24 points per game is nothing to scoff at. That's like Justin Jefferson type numbers. If he comes anywhere close to that, I will be ecstatic for him. Obviously, Matthew Stafford is looking great right now. 300 plus yard games in multiple games this season. Looks freaking amazing. And Cooper Kupp did, unfortunately. So like it's kind of a weird situation. He was practicing this week, and we saw videos of him practicing and stuff like that. Recorded a limited practice on Wednesday, and that was the last report before I was able to do the show that I saw. But he's basically entering this window, this IR window. When you're on the injured reserve, you have like 21 days to become an active player, or you have to go back on, something like that. And he's pretty much in that window, so it's not confirmed by any means that he's going to be playing in this Week 5 matchup. Sean McVay saying that he's healthy is obviously a great sign, but it's not confirmed by any means. If he is able to go, though, he will have a pretty decent matchup, I do believe, going up against the Eagles here in Week 5. And obviously the Commanders just put up a ton of points against them. Actually gave up 31 points to the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders in the first half right now still only have 3 points against the Chicago Bears in that defense. So I'm in shambles starting Sam Howell. I don't know. It looks so good on paper, and I'm just pretty upset about it. It's okay. Let's talk a couple of injuries, a couple of major injuries that are happening in the league right now. Saquon right now recorded a practice as of today on Thursday, which is very, very good. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate you. But yeah, Saquon looked very agile at practice today. There was a video that came out. He was like running a route out of the backfield, and he just looked like prime Saquon. Saquon against the Cardinals, where he was scoring 3 touchdowns, doing his thing. So definitely enjoyed to see that. I think he is looking to play in this Dolphins game, and the Giants offense has nothing besides Saquon Barkley. If he's not in, I don't know what they're supposed to do. So I know he feels a lot of weight on his shoulders to come back and, play for his team, be that guy that they need him to be. But he did look very agile at practice today, so happy to see that, and thinking that he's probably going to be able to play this Sunday versus the Dolphins. Let's talk Christian Watson real quick. Wide receiver 1 technically for the Green Bay Packers. He's apparently looking very iffy for Sunday. He did play in that Week 4 matchup, and he actually caught a touchdown. He didn't really put up any yards. We know Christian Watson as a 6'4" guy with 4.3 speed. Played at a very small college. If you go watch his college tape, it's super impressive too. Not as impressive as Jameson Williams in my opinion, but still very impressive. And he was playing up against guys who had no chance of going to the NFL. So that makes his tape look even better. Definitely welcome you to go watch that YouTube video. But he's looking iffy for Sunday. That hamstring was apparently re-aggravated, and he had a limited practice today as well. So keep an eye on Christian Watson. Then finally, just wanted to touch on Odell Beckham Jr. I was expecting Odell to kind of come in for the Ravens and be that number 1 wide receiver that, I was hoping that he would be, and he just can't get it right with this ankle. This ankle has been bothering him a lot, and he recorded a limited practice today as well. So we'll see what the future holds for Odell Beckham. I'm hoping that at some point, whether it be early in the season, mid-season, or even going into the playoffs, because I do think the Baltimore Ravens are going there. Lamar Jackson looks great right now, and I think he could use a healthy Odell Beckham to just help him get the ball down the field. It just makes a lot of sense that Odell, his story's not over. I really don't think it is. So we'll see what happens there. But guys, that's my fantasy talk section. my fantasy talk segment. When I come back, we're going to be going into my third segment. We're talking DFS, and I was just doing some DFS research, and I got a list of guys at each position for decent value that I really like. So make sure you come back with me. Goodness gracious. What's good, ladies and gentlemen? I see we have some questions, so I'll definitely get to those real quick. Next up on this segment, we're going to have DFS talk. So if y'all play DFS, make sure you're watching. But let me answer these questions real quick. Saquon and Algier for Saquon and Algier for Pollard and James Conner. Oh yeah, doing that every single time. Saquon has too much weight on his shoulders, and I don't think he's just going to be able to carry it the whole season. Obviously, injuries are already hurting him. I probably would just do Saquon for Conner straight up, or not Saquon for Pollard straight up. And the fact that you get to get rid of Algier too, yeah, that's a no-brainer situation for you, young star. And then, do I trade Pittman and Miles Sanders for Waddle? I don't know about that one. Pittman has that wide receiver 1 status for the Colts. He's a very, good player, even though we didn't see that in week 4. Obviously, his stock is a little bit down right now. And Miles Sanders is going to need to do something for that Panthers offense, too. They are struggling. All they have is Adam Thielen, so I do expect Sanders to pick it up. He ran for like 1,200 yards last year. I think you're kind of getting shafted if you make that Pittman and Sanders for Waddle trade, because Waddle's never going to get as much attention as Tyreek Hill ever is in any scenario, any situation. Right now, Justin Fields is going crazy. He already has 3 passing touchdowns in the first half. Is he the best quarterback in the league? No? Okay, yeah, no. The answer is no, guys. Let's get into this DFS talk. Super excited to talk about DFS right now. And basically the DFS strat that I run, I only do classic. I'm kind of mid. I'm kind of plain Jane when it comes to this DFS stuff. I don't think I've gotten too much money out of it. But definitely have won a couple. Maybe we'll call myself a break-even DFS player. I like to do the classic one. Like I said, you get $50K salary cap, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex, and 1 defense. And really the only way to make a lot of money doing this is to have the best, like the number one thing in the entire pool. And usually the pool is like 10,000 plus people. So it's very, very hard to do this. Just be aware of that. There are ways that you can just like hop into these ones with like just your friends or just like a couple less people. You can do like a 10-person prize pool or even like a 20-person prize pool. Don't always just go for the 10,000 person prize pool because it's not very likely to hit. We got to be using our brains here, ladies and gentlemen. But I have some guys at pretty much every position that I'm ready to talk to you about that have pretty decent matchups. Make sure y'all come back for tomorrow because Friday is my matchups episode where I'm talking about all the Sunday and the Monday game. It is the episode that I put the most work into for matchups, so make sure you come back tomorrow to watch that. But let's talk QBs first. Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow currently Youngstar, let me answer your question again. I see you didn't hear me. I would absolutely do that trade that you're talking about. No question, I would do that. I said I might even do Saquon for Pollard just straight up, just because he has a situation where all the attention is not on him. And I really feel like you're basically robbing that guy. If he offered you that trade, you should go accept it right now. You should get out of the video and accept it immediately. Yes, do it. Do that trade immediately. No question. But talking DFS here, really like Burrow here. I know Burrow has been so bad this year. Burrow has had a career worst start to his season. So bad. But right now in DFS, we're getting him at a beautiful price. A literally beautiful price, $6,200 of your $50K salary cap, and he's going to go up against the 31st rated defense, Arizona Cardinals. He's like the 7th or 8th most expensive quarterback when he's the highest paid quarterback in the league. We know he has the ability. Obviously, the calf is bothering him right now, so that's unfortunate, but I really do love that spot for him. I think he has potential to have a huge day. I know T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are frustrated by this slow start. So at some point, we're going to see this offense pop off. They were a top 5 offense last year, and I have to expect that they're going to want to get back to the playoffs. Joe Burrow doesn't want to be a guy that is just sitting out of the playoffs. Everybody will talk about him. Highest paid player in the league, not even in the playoffs. I was thinking of trading Saquon for Pollard straight up. Yeah, no, literally. I would probably do that for sure, young star. But then we got Stafford. Stafford, I think, has a pretty solid matchup here, too. He is playing the Eagles, but quietly the Eagles' coverage has been really bad. They have Darius Slay back there, who's a really solid cover corner, but even he's been getting torched lately, and the rest of their guys are kind of no-names. And Stafford has thrown for 300 yards like 3+ times so far to start the season. He's like the 12th rated quarterback as it pertains to DFS at like $5,600. Eagles defense, Eagles coverage rated 22nd on PFF right now. So definitely interesting. Obviously, if you want to go with the most obvious choice, Patrick Mahomes is going to play up against the Vikings. Vikings are 1-3 right now, and they're just giving up points to everybody. If you don't think the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes can do it, you are sadly mistaken. Those guys are dogs. Obviously don't have the best wide receiving core, but they got Mahomes, and that's really all that matters to me. He is the most expensive quarterback in DFS right now. Let's talk a little bit of running backs. We got Breece Hall at $5,400 in these classic salary cap DFS leagues. He's going up against the Broncos defense. Broncos defense, the worst rushing defense in the entire league. Also the worst tackling defense according to PFF. Just a generally bad defense. I think they have one good defensive player on their team, and that is Pat Surtain Jr. He is solid. He's a decent cover corner, so watch out for the wide receiver 1 to be covered up, but he doesn't even trail. Like, he doesn't follow the top wide receiver all around the field, which he probably should be doing because I think that would help out the Broncos defense. But we're talking running backs right now. Breece Hall, $5,400. That's like the 10th or 12th, maybe even deeper running back. So you're getting him at a great price. Love Breece Hall in this matchup, and he's no longer on snap count. Coach Robert Saleh was telling the media that Breece Hall is no longer on the snap count, so that's a great sign that the knee and his ACL that he tore last year is looking a little bit better. So I do like Breece Hall. I like David Montgomery against the Panthers at $6,600 for DFS. He's going up against a bottom 5 run defense in that Panthers squad. Obviously, Kenneth Walker kind of tore them up. They're just not very good. I think they're probably the worst personnel group on offense and defense in the entire league, so we're going to love going up against them anytime. And then finally, I got to talk about Bijan Robinson here. Bijan Robinson, a dog. They got him at $7,700. I think he's the 3rd most expensive, so he's one of the more expensive guys. You are going to have some expensive guys that you are playing in these DFS leagues because those are the guys that are going to pop off, and they know that. Going up against Houston is the worst rushing defense and the 2nd worst tackling defense. So Denver's the worst, and then Denver's the worst tackling, Houston's the 2nd worst tackling, and then Houston is the worst rush defense in the entire league. Bijan Robinson looks like a generational talent. He is like young Saquon Barkley when Saquon didn't have any injuries on him. Really, really like him against Houston, and I think he'll have a big day. He also hasn't even scored a rushing touchdown yet, so he's super due, and I think he'll do that probably here in week 5. Wide receiver-wise, the first one is just interesting. It's just really, really interesting to me. They got Cooper Kupp. I was telling you that he averaged 24 points over the past 3 years, and obviously DFS knows that. They have him at $8,600. He's like the 3rd most expensive wide receiver, and he hasn't even played a game yet. Coming off injury, 3rd high is very, very surprising to me. A guy that I like more than I like Cooper Kupp coming into the first game, obviously because we just don't know what Cooper Kupp's going to be doing, is A.J. Brown, and they have him $600 lower at $8,000. He's going up against the Rams. PFF has the Rams rated as the worst coverage in the entire league, and A.J. Brown just had a day where he put up 175 yards and 2 touchdowns, and right after he's getting drug tested by the league. It's always so funny to see like when a player just has a big day and then gets drug tested after. I love that stuff. But going up against the worst coverage in the entire league, the Rams' number 1 corner is Darion Kendrick, who's a rookie. And he's really, really skinny. Obviously, A.J. Brown's like that. He's a big, big dude. So really like A.J. Brown and think you're getting him at a pretty good price. Tyreek gets to play against the New York Giants this week. Just another spot where he should be going over 100 easy. They have him at $1,000 more than A.J. Brown and $9,000. So definitely interesting. I think that's going to be an absolute bloodbath. Only thing I'm scared of is that they're just going to start doing what they did to the Broncos, and they're up 30, and then Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert both have 40 fantasy points each. I could literally see that happening in this Giants game. They've already been blown out multiple times this season, but Tyreek does get to play against them. I think he's going to have a day. Then D-Hop, if you're looking for a guy a little less expensive, do like DeAndre Hopkins at $5,700 versus Indianapolis. They just pretty much have really bad coverage grades on PFF, and I just think he's due for a touchdown. He's had multiple red zone targets, no touchdown yet. He's definitely the wide receiver 1 here for the Titans, and you have to think that with Derrick Henry just having his first big day in fantasy and just like in the season in general, the box is going to be stacked. Who are you going to go to next? It's probably going to be DeAndre Hopkins, most likely. Let's talk some tight ends real quick. Obviously, Kelsey's going to be playing up against Minnesota. The Kelsey-Mahomes connection is still the best connection in the league, in my opinion. Just really, really solid, and I do see a shootout incoming in this game. The Chiefs just allowed a ton of points to Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson looked pretty good against them. I think Kirk can do the same thing. They're probably not going to be able to hold Justin Jefferson, and I think Kelsey is not going to be able to be held in check either by that mid-tier defense. They really don't have anyone of note besides Patrick Peterson and Danielle Hunter, who's like 99 years old at that point. Not really going to happen. I don't think we're going to see a lot of defense here. I do like Travis Kelce to get it done. He is a bit expensive at 7,600, but I think he's probably worth it. He'd be the guy that I would be wanting to go with if I was playing DFS this week, which I might. Then we got Darren Waller. He's going up against Miami. Surprisingly, Miami's coverage grade is really, really bad. It is. We saw the Buffalo Bills put up 48 points against the Miami Dolphins last week, and Jones made a point in the media that he needs to get the ball to Waller more and he needs to get him involved in the offense more. So usually when that happens, he in the next week is just going to get some more targets. That's just how the game works. He's only $5,400, which is definitely decent. Someone that I would be willing to play as well just because of the media comments. I wouldn't have played him last week, that's for sure. And then finally, if you're looking for, you fill your tight end last, so a lot of people like to do that because, least important position, but it's definitely still important. I do like Tyler Conklin, man. Tyler Conklin, tight end for the Jets. He just looked a lot more involved in that Chiefs game. He looked pretty athletic. I really wasn't on Tyler Conklin at all this whole year, but just his involvement last week is what's making me talk about him today. Obviously going up against the worst defense still, always looking to target the Broncos defense constantly. Just look a little bit more involved. He's not some breakout amazing player, but I think decent DFS value for Tyler Conklin. And guys, I'm just gonna save the defense and special teams talk for the Patreon. So if you guys want to, I don't know when the Patreon's gonna go live, but later tonight I will be doing that, and I'll be talking about some defenses that I like in week 5. When we come back, I'm gonna give y'all the weather report. The weather report straight from the horse's mouth. Just make sure y'all know what's going on with the weather in this week 5. So come back with me for sure. What's good, y'all? Here to bring you the weather report real quick before we wrap up the show. Let me get this out the way and get Brock Purdy off of the screen. Yes, sir. The weather forecast from your weatherman, Austin, GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. The only place you can get the weather report. 7 p.m. live every single day, Monday through Friday, all that. Let's start with Jags-Bills. Jags-Bills obviously going to be played in London, Wembley Stadium. We're looking at a 71 degrees and sunny day, partly cloudy there, so nothing too serious. Houston versus Atlanta. They obviously play in the Mercedes-Benz Dome. No weather is going to affect that game in any way, but make sure you know whether the game is in a dome or if it's outside of a dome, especially if you're going to bet on it. Just make sure you check that. It's something to be checked. A lot of people don't do that, so make sure you're going to be one of the sharper people in the world here. Then we got Panthers-Lions, also in a dome. Ford Field, we know that's a dome. No big deal. Just have that info for you. Titans-Colts in Lucas Oil Stadium. More of an enclosed stadium, but they'll probably have the roof open here. It's going to be 56 degrees, partly cloudy in this one. So pretty decent football weather. All of this is not looking too crazy. We don't got any snow, and we are not seeing any major chance of rain in any of these games, so that is good. Giants-Dolphins going to be playing down in Miami, 87 degrees, partly cloudy. I really like it because it's not too hot to where there's cramping or stuff like that. 87 degrees should be great football weather, so excited for that game. Think Tyreek Hill is going to have a day. Like I said, if not, it's going to be Devon Achane, who's just been eating up the past couple of weeks, most definitely. We got Saints-Pats. Saints-Pats going to be 61 degrees and partly cloudy in Foxborough. So kind of just looking like a partly cloudy day throughout the entire country here on Sunday. Ravens-Steelers happening down in Pittsburgh. 53 degrees and fully cloudy for that one. The wind's not looking too bad either on that game. Then we got Eagles-Rams, 79 degrees in SoFi. I actually went to the national championship at SoFi, and some weather does come in, but 79 degrees, no wind, it's going to be fine. I'm sure Matt Stafford's going to have a 300-yard day loaded up in his arsenal, so excited for that game. Think that's going to be possibly a shootout for that Eagles-Rams game. Then we got Bengals versus the Cardinals, 93 degrees and sunny, bit hot, could see some cramping. They do play in an open-air dome for the Cardinals. Obviously, it gets very, very hot in Arizona, so you got to watch out for that. If in the weather report, it gets up to 100 in that game, it's very possible just being in Arizona that happens, so watch out for that. Then we got Jets-Broncos just down the street. Obviously, I'm in Colorado right now. Very excited. I was going to go to that game if Aaron Rodgers was playing. I was ready to get my tickets, and then first play, Aaron Rodgers just tears his Achilles like that. So there's no way I'm going to see Zach Wilson. But in Colorado on Sunday, going to be 76 degrees and sunny in Denver. So should be great football weather for Russell Wilson to see if he can get it done against a pretty good Jets defense. Excited for that game. We're going to have Cowboys 49ers for the Sunday Night Football on NBC. Super, super excited for that one. Definitely game of the week there. And we got 78 degrees and partly cloudy over in Levi Stadium. Shouldn't be too bad. Pretty decent football weather there as well. And then for the Monday night game, we are going to be in Las Vegas, Sin City, Packers-Raiders, 91 degrees on that Monday night in Vegas. So that's pretty much where we're at for the weather. Just ran down all those games. I'm going to stay for a second, see if there's any extra questions that you guys have for me. But that's pretty much going to wrap it up, guys. I want y'all to make sure you come back for the Friday episode. Like I said, matchup episode, where I'm giving y'all the best matchups. I gave y'all Stephon Diggs last week. Can't really remember much else of what I gave y'all, but I definitely gave y'all Stephon Diggs. He was my numero uno, first guy I talked about. I put a lot of work into my Friday episodes, so make sure y'all come back for that. And if there's no other questions, I think I'm going to hop out of here. Hope y'all win all your DFS, win all your bets, win your fantasy football games. If you want to reach out to me on Instagram or Twitter, that's where I'm at. Austin with the 4 as the A, just because nobody else really has it. It's only me. I just thought it was a cool play on words like six lack or black, whatever. But yeah, guys, I appreciate y'all watching. I hope y'all enjoyed the episode. Make sure y'all like and subscribe and check out the Patreon, please. Link is in the bio. All right, cool. All right, hope y'all have a great rest of your day. We'll see you later.